Hello Red Dragons. Today's lesson will be on sparring. So you can do sparring without a partner. If you guys have somebody at home, if your brother takes karate with you or your sister, or maybe your mom and dad is willing to work some drills with you guys, definitely do it. You know, there's nothing better than working with a partner, but you can always drill no matter what it is, even without a partner. So I wanted to start off with our point sparring talk today. Number one, when you guys do sparring, it's not fighting. We're not trying to hurt the other person. Now there are instances in the advanced class or tournaments or maybe trying to just spar a little bit harder just for self-defense reasons where we up the antes on the power and how we strike. But when you guys are sparring, the main thing that we want to be able to do is be able to kick fast and possibly even hurt our opponent, but have the self-control to not do it. So when you guys are sparring, you got to keep that in mind. We're working 100% super speed, as fast as you guys can possibly move, but we're trying to get right to the target, which takes a lot of skill, which also means it takes a lot of practice. For instance, I could have any of you guys hit one of the heavy bags as hard as you possibly could. Even someone that doesn't do karate could do that. But in order to do that kick that we were hitting on the heavy bag and do it really fast and really strong, but just touch the bag, is a whole different skill set. And that's what we're trying to create. So, number one thing about sparring that I think is very important is your movement. We have to stay on the balls of our feet, okay? We're in our guard stance and we're bouncing this way, okay? We can even just be forward and just having that basic bounce. You're on the balls of your feet and you're moving. You're actually not jumping off of the floor, but you're springing up and down. Your heels just coming up and down. So you're not jumping, you're trying not to waste energy. Your sparring rounds could be a minute, 2 minutes. Black belt testing, you have a good 30 minutes to 40 minutes of just straight sparring, and I want you moving the whole time. So you have to find a way to get used to it, not lose your breath. And even if you do, you can keep going because you have the stamina to keep going. If you were to jump it up and down the whole entire time, it doesn't take too long to get tired. Main reason for moving is that you're very fast. Okay, so you can move from spot to spot as quick as you can, a little bit more agile. But the other reason is that if we were sparring and I was at a standstill, whenever I'm about to hit you, you know it's going to come because you see some sort of movement, whether my hand moves or my shoulder or my elbow or my foot. If I'm constantly moving already, bouncing the balls, my feet, hands are up, hands are moving, I'm moving my head, I'm cutting angles, switching my stance, you kind of don't know when the kicks or punches are going to come as well because your body's already in movement. So that's one of the main things that are really, really important, and you'll learn that as you guys spar more and more. So, to work on staying on the balls of our feet, one of the best drills you can do is jump rope. This is part of our workout challenge. So now you guys are already doing it, but we're trying to jump only a little bit off of the ground. Okay, and we're trying to go 1, 2. You can go feet together if you want, but also 1, 2. 1 foot and the other foot. Okay? So to warm up before your sparring drills, do that for about 30 seconds to a minute. Maybe do a couple sets. Next one. Take your jump rope, put your handles together, and lay it on the floor in a straight line. Okay, and again, this is not necessarily how you would move while you're sparring, but it's just a drill, work stamina and agility, and try to stay on the balls of our feet. So, from here, I'm gonna have my feet apart, the jump rope is right in between. I'm gonna take my feet and I'm gonna cross them, one over top of the other. Then I uncross, back to the start position. Now the other leg's gonna go in front. And then I'm gonna uncross. So for me right now, I'm taking right foot in front. Right in front, back to normal, left in front, back to normal. And then I do that a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, watch again. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you got that, do that for about 30 seconds. You can also add a 180 jump at the end. So, cross, uncross, switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, switch. Okay, again, just a little drill, 30 seconds to a minute, just to get you warmed up, get you moving. Put that jump rope back. Now we move on to one of the most important parts of sparring. Putting our gear on. We can get in a lot of trouble in class if we can't put our gear on quickly. It wastes class time. Your partners are waiting for you to come out on the floor so they're not getting to spar as much. And then also, if it's only a minute on the clock and you guys take longer, we're gonna be doing a lot of push-ups. And I know you guys love push-ups, but not punishment push-ups. Just exercise push-ups, and there's a difference. All right, so for our sparring gear, you can put your headgear on whenever you want to. It's probably easier to put that on before you have your hand gear on. So over your head, strap it up. Now for today's lesson, you don't need to have your headgear on, and I don't need to have my headgear on because no one's hitting you in the head. But not a bad idea to practice. Then we have our foot gear. So when you guys look at your foot gear, you have your strap, and you have this little square Velcro back here, right? So what we want to make sure we do is when we put our foot gear on, we don't go over top of that Velcro square. Then we have nothing to connect. So we're going to take the strap, bring it over the top, then underneath, and then back over the top again. So as you can see, over, under, over, it starts to make an X, okay? Now after the X is made, I'm going to go all the way to the back and Velcro it. So that's how this goes on. A lot of times in the beginning, if you guys don't know any better, you kind of bring it just around your ankle, but then it's not going to stay on your foot properly. So I'm going to put these on real quick. And we just learned how to Velcro them. So slide your foot in, bring the strap over the top and around, strap it up, make sure there's the X over the top, and make sure the strap did go underneath your foot. That is important. So again, over and under, make the X, and then we're going to strap that up in the back. Then you have your hand gear. So hand gear is easy enough. Just make sure you put them on the correct hand, which again, you'll be able to figure that out pretty easy. So we strap one hand gear on, and we have the other hand gear on, and we're ready to go. I want this to be part of your drill. Good exercise for you guys to do is put on all your gear and then time yourself. Do it a couple times. As long as most of the time you're under a minute, you're good to go. It really shouldn't even take you that long, especially if you have your bag ready and your gear out on the floor ready to go. Okay, for the next section of our drill, we're going to think about the clock, okay? And here's what I mean. Right in the middle of this clock, we're going to pretend when we make our stance like this, that middle of the clock is going to be our front foot, whether it's our left or our right, however you guys spar. So for now, for this instance, my left foot is the one in the front. So when I do what's called angle cutting and movement, this foot's going to stay, and if it doesn't stay, it's going to stay really close. So I'm going to take this foot, and I'm going to cut it around. So now I'm looking at a different target. Okay, well, I'm looking at a different spot on my target. And it's called cutting angles. That way when you guys spar, you don't constantly run backwards or move forward into attack all the time. You can circle around your opponent and just cut angles and kind of change the fight a tiny bit. So that's our front foot, the middle. Now the minute hand, let's say that was like a really, really super quick split second hand. That's how fast it moved. That's going to be your back foot. Okay? So if my foot is here and my right foot is here, I'm basically looking at the 12. If we're thinking about the clock. So here's my stance. I'm looking at the 12. My left foot's going to stay where it's at. I'm going to take my right foot and I'm going to start to move around the clock. And I'm going to look at the 3. 12, 3, 6, and 9. So we're here. Keep the back hand up by your face. You want to keep your hands up. Take the front hand, the one's in front of you. Keep it in front or up. That's up to you. I like to keep it moving because, again, if it's still, when I'm about to punch with it, you know it's coming. But if it's already in movement, when I'm ready to punch with it, it's a little harder to see it coming. So back hand stays up on the jaw, front hand's in front. I'm bouncing, and I'm moving. I'm going to take my back foot, and I'm going to cut. I want to look at the 3. There's my first cut. Nice and easy. Then I'm going to look towards you. You're my 6. Then I'm going to turn and look and cut. Remember, my left foot didn't really move. Then I'm going to turn to the 9. And then turn to the 12. So when I cut my angle, that's not my new 12 anymore. My 12 is always straight in front of me to make this make sense for your drill. So again, here we're looking at the 12. We cut, look at the 3. And then we turn, cut, look at the 6. And then cut, look at the 9. And then cut, look at the 12. Basic drill, okay? Just cutting the angles a little bit. If you want to get a little more into it, you can move both feet. You can cut both feet. Get that slide. Cut both feet. Cut both feet. So you're moving a little bit more. Your left foot's not necessarily staying in the middle, but you're still using the same concept. Hands up, bouncing, moving the back foot. And you're working yourself around the clock. So we have our bouncing. We have our angles. We understand the idea of the clock, right? Now, when we make our stance, here's our boxing stance. And there's nothing wrong with sparring in a boxing stance, especially if you like to punch. The only thing is, if you're sparring against someone that's really good with front leg kicking, and your body's square, and my body's in position, the second you move forward, I'm going to stick the side kick on you. And the leg, is longer than the arm. So if you're quick enough, you can get inside of that. But if I was sparring, someone got inside with their hands, I'm gonna cut my ankle. And then again, this front leg is ready. I'm gonna be ready to throw a side kick. So when you make your sparring stance, I want you to make it this way, and I will show you. We're gonna face towards our opponent or our target, and we're gonna turn sideways. Okay, just like this, feet are together. Now my back foot, I'm gonna slide it back a little bit so that my toes are basically touching the middle of my other foot, if that makes any sense. So again, watch, feet are together. I'm gonna slide my right foot back now. If you guys can see my feet, my right foot, if this are my feet here, my right foot just slid back a little bit. Okay, so it's right in line here with the middle of my front leg or front foot. Now from here, I take my right foot, I move it back this way. So if my target's directly in front of me here, I'm not necessarily sideways and I'm not straight, I'm almost backwards. So my butt is turning towards my target, which makes the side kick really, really easy to do. And I can always readjust and turn straight when I want to punch and come back when I want to do my side kick. Okay? Now towards you, I'll show you the same thing. Feet are together, you're my target, so I'm going to take my back foot, slide it back a little bit, and then step back with it away from you, hands are up. As you guys can see, my feet are not in line. My left foot's more this direction. It's to my back side. Okay? Hands are up, front hand's out in front, back hand's up by the face, and I'm bouncing. When I bounce, I don't want to make you guys see it, but I have most of my weight on my back leg. So that way when I'm ready, front leg comes up as fast as I can get it. If I have 50-50, I have to shift first. So we're here, we make our sparring stance, my hips are turned, my head never turns, my eyes always stay on my target, and I'm bouncing. This way, when my opponent comes in, I throw my side kick. A lot of times you want to think about a circle around you. And this is life in general. If someone comes inside of that circle and gets too close, that's uncomfortable. Especially in a self-defense scenario, somebody that you don't know, or a sparring scenario. So I have an invisible circle around me. The second someone comes into my circle, I have a couple options. I can stay and just wait for their first movement. I can move and redo my circle, move back at my space again, or I can front leg kick. Okay, so that's basically what you're thinking about. You always have that circle, and you don't want anybody inside that circle. So you're bouncing, and you're moving. Now what I want you guys to do is I want you to throw those things together. So here's my target. I'm gonna make my stance, adjust it, back hand up, right hand forward. I'm gonna bounce, and I'm gonna cut the angles. I can slide forward, I can slide back, I can cut, new angle. Cut, new angle. Slide forward, slide forward. And that's just basically some stance movement there for you guys, which is very important, especially if you guys are starting to spar. If you skip this, that's like one of the most important parts of your sparring if you want to be good and to make sure you're moving fast. Moving on to our next section, lift and chamber. So, lift and chamber simple. If you had your hand on the wall, that's a lift and chamber, right there. If you don't have your hand on the wall and you have the proper balance, that's a lift and chamber. So a lift and chamber is basically a shield that you put in between you and your opponent. So if my partner's in front of me, I'm gonna bring my leg up like this. As they move forward, they're either moving into my leg or I'm gonna kick them. Because I already have my leg up, it's already ready to go. I took one step out of the equation because it's already up. So a good drill from your stance, bounce in, lift, and bring it back down. Lift, bring it back down. Lift, and bring it back down. Lift, and bring it back down. That's basically it. You bounce in, you slide, or lean and you bring your leg up as high as you could possibly get it. So that's your lifting chamber. So, going back, we throw that into our drills. Body sideways, almost backwards, but eyes on the target. We're gonna bounce. We're gonna cut our angles. Move forward. Move backwards. Lift. Cut. Lift. Cut. Lift. Cut. And you can do that in any order that you want. But movement, stances, cutting angles, working around the clock, picking up the front leg. So you have all these things going at the same time. They're basic, but they're extremely important. Next step, after you understand the lift and chamber, we get the chamber with movement. What you're gonna find when you guys spar, you're not sparring a punching bag, which number one means you're not gonna hit your opponents very hard. And also, number two, it means that they're gonna be moving a lot. They're not gonna be in one spot all the time. So I show you from sideways. If I'm facing my opponent, I'm gonna pick up my leg, I'm gonna do my roundhouse kick, front leg round kick, right? But what if my opponent sees it coming? Because not everybody's that fast. And even if you are fast, maybe your opponent's really fast in movement. So you gotta make that up. As my partner slides away from me, I pick up the front leg and I fall. So again, watch, fall. Just moving down the line. So I'm in my stance, I'm bouncing the balls with my feet, my hands are up, my weight's on my back leg, lift and slide. So slow, lift, and slide. When we do it in steps, it's tough because you're lifting and now your momentum's gone. You're stuck. So you have to slide with the power of your back foot, which is fine. It's a good start drill. After you get it, lift your leg, push your leg forward, and slide at the same time. So that way the momentum of the lift feeds into the slide and the movement. So it's up, slide. That's it. Watch it again. Bounce it, slide. One more time. Bounce it, slide. Obviously your next step is to add the kick. So from the bounce, slide kick, slide kick. Okay? Watch it again. From the bounce, slide kick, slide kick, slide kick. Okay? So as the leg comes up, that's the momentum pushing me forward towards my target. Very last one with that same idea is pump kick. So depending on how wide and how long your room is, you can go a long period of time with the slide or shorter. So pick the leg up. Every time you kick, do a slide. I might have went out the camera that time. Those are called pump kicks. Now, will you do that many pump kicks when you spar? No. But you might do 2, and you might even do 3. And it works your balance, positioning, and the idea of how to move that back foot and slide. So work it. All right, guys, last part of your sparring techniques and your sparring drills will be your front leg kicks. And then you're gonna piece all of this together. So you're in your guard stance, your hands are up, your body sideways. Your first kick is your round kick. We were working on the chamber earlier for our pump kicks and how we get our leg up. So from that chamber, we throw our kick. We're gonna keep in mind when we spar that we can't kick below the belt, okay? Because this is Taekwondo point sparring or Taekwondo continuous sparring, and leg kicks are not made for Taekwondo. So, doesn't mean we won't do them in other types of sparring, but when we do this type in class, no kicking below the belt. Safety purposes, of course. So we bring up the front leg and we throw a roundhouse kick. You can go body, you can go head. Okay? You can also come off your bounce and do a pump. 1, 2. Okay? Second kick is side kick. So we have that body position already set that we worked on earlier. Our hands are up, our butt's kind of turned towards our target. So when your partner goes through and steps into that imaginary circle we were talking about, bottom of the foot goes right on. So we go up, kick. Come from the bounce, kick. Kick. Okay? Next one, hook kick. Hook kick goes to the head. Sometimes you can kick to the body with it, but for the most part, it's trying to go and hook around your partner's guard. So if they have a good guard, your leg hooks around it and still gets to their head. Just the way your leg works and bends. Okay, when we do it, we also want to make sure that we're not hitting with our heel. Okay? Back of the heel is really strong. Back of the heel, right here. If you guys are trying to break a board or break something in general, then you'd hit with the back of the heel. Whenever we're working with a partner that we don't want to hurt, we're going to point our toes. And we're going to try to almost make it more like a slap. Think of it like punching someone in the head or using your fingers and slapping. Okay, because again, we're not trying to hurt anyone, but we just want to know the difference. If we ever had to use it to break something, we understand we use the heel. And when we're sparring, bottom of the foot. Also, pointing your toes and hitting with the bottom of the foot reaches out a couple extra inches. So if your partner is moving back and you push your hips properly, you still might be able to hit them. And then you add your slide to it that we worked on earlier, and you're really getting close. So from the body position, leg comes up, we're going to extend and hook kick. Just like that. Okay, so we're bouncing, review, round kick, side kick, hook kick. Then of course, we have our axe kick. Now axe kick doesn't work from sideways. Axe kick is a straightforward kick. So you bring up your leg, and as you're doing this, you're going to twist those hips forward. You're also going to find after you guys get done your kick that you land forward. Perfect spot to throw some punches in return. Okay? So from here, we bring up the leg, we turn the body straight, there's the axe kick. And we're also reaching with the toes. So from the bounce, axe kick. Okay? If you want to practice it, add in the punch, axe kick, back fist punch, or jab punch afterwards. Okay? Roundhouse kick, side kick, hook kick, axe kick. So here's how you want to practice those. Make your stance, Do your round kick 5 to 10 times with the bounce, with the movement. Side kick, same thing. Then hook kick, then axe kick. If you guys can handle it, go back to the round kick and make it a double. 5 to 10 times. Then go back to the hook kick. Make that a hook round. So that gives you 6 front leg kicks / 6 front leg kick combinations, if you count the hook round and the double round, that you guys can practice. Okay? So that gives you a lot. Your movements, your stances, obviously putting your gear on, that's the first thing that you work on. And then you work on adding the kicks. Now after that, every time you throw a kick, you can easily land back fist punch, or throw the kick, jab punch, okay? If you really want to add on to that, kick, punch, punch, slide back and kick. All right guys, so now that we worked on all the pieces and worked on how to put those pieces together, let me show you a little drill that you guys can practice at home, putting everything together. Now keep in mind, when you guys do this, you can have something set for what you want to do, but I'd rather you work more on a freestyle level. So just move and kick and punch how it feels proper. Back hand's up, front hand's out, I'm bouncing. We're gonna start by having cut, kick, cut, back fist punch, cut. Switch the feet, throw the kick, cut, back fist punch, switch your feet, cut. So I'm always cutting, looking to the 12, the 3, the 6, the 9, all my kicks. Keep my back hand up, trying to shift when I kick instead of slide. Little slides are okay, but not big steps. Get in the cuts, kick, cut, switch, cut, kick, 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 cut, back fist punch, cut, cut, maybe a spinning kick.